I remember the summer of 2021 pretty vividly. I wasn't going out much, well, none of us were, and I was desperately hunting for something to watch. I had just finished what I can only describe as too many seasons of Riverdale, and we needed a mental reset. Something small, something fun, and that something was Fate, the Winx Saga. And now, years later, I think I'm finally ready to talk about it. Today I'm redesigning the main girls: Bloom, Stella, Flora, Musa, Aisha, and Tecna. And I'll be asking the question that's been living in my head rent free. Why didn't they just do more? Here's the thing. I came into this completely blind. I watched it on a whim to connect with a friend who kept going on about it. I had zero Winx Club knowledge going in, and I thought, Fate the Winx Saga? That sounds like an anthology. I had no idea that it was based on a beloved cartoon. I did have some vague childhood memories of friends having the stickers, maybe a notebook or something, but that's about it. And even without any context, something felt off to me. Specifically the fashion. It was so weird, so muted, so aggressively normal for a show about magical fairies at a fantasy school. When I finally looked up the original cartoon, my jaw dropped. The colors, the personality, the looks. There was so much they could have pulled from and just didn't. Don't get me wrong, Faye had some good stuff in it, but rather than being iconic, it just fell flat. So I began to think to myself, how would I have tackled this? Bloom is the main character, and the first one I wanted to work through. My test to figure out the direction of the whole project. In Fate, Bloom gets the most screen time and somehow still ends up feeling the most underdressed. She's mostly in jackets and tight jeans, which, by the way, can work well if styled properly. What they gave her did nothing to complement the gorgeous actress that they cast. The original Bloom has this sweet, casual charm that still feels intentional, and that's what I wanted to bring back. My inspiration here was actually one of my best friends. She has this thing for little lacy undershirts layered under everything, and it just felt so right for Bloom. I paired that with some bell-bottom jeans. I wanted an off-duty model kind of vibe. Casual, chic, effortless, but you can still tell she put some thought into it. I kept her color palette pretty faithful to the original. Blues, teals, that warm auburn hair, and I found the most amazing reference images of jeans with flowers embroidered on them, and played around with a few different cuts before landing on a silhouette pretty close to her original design. Apparently, each of the Winx girls was inspired by a celebrity, and Bloom's was Britney Spears, so I kept that in mind while drawing. And I also pulled some references from Abigail Cohen, the actress who plays her in the live action, because I wanted to honor that casting and give her so much more to work with. I wanted to give her mostly natural materials with few synthetics. She's wearing braided bracelets and has sparkles, but they're subtle. She doesn't need to announce herself, she just is the main character. Overall, I'm really happy with how she turned out. She's evolved, but still recognizable. And the outfit is wearable, but still magical. I'd definitely compliment her fashion if I saw her out in public. If Bloom is the heart of the group, Stella is the moment. She's the fashionista, though in Fate, you'd never know it. Fate did Stella so dirty. She has some of the most interesting interpersonal drama in the show, but ends up looking like a middle-aged mom. The outfits are not necessarily terrible, but they don't fit her personality at all. You could argue that she dresses this way to maintain the image that her mother forced onto her, but that doesn't make much sense either, because when her mother's around, she clearly dresses pretty differently anyways. It's a shame because the actress that they cast genuinely looks more like Stella in her day-to-day life than in the show. Like, this is Stella. And in the original, Stella shines. She literally has sun powers and dresses like it. Every outfit is an event. So for my Stella, I leaned all the way in. I wanted every single part of her to shine, and I mean that literally. In Fate, she's a light fairy. So I imagine that every movement that she makes creates some kind of reflection, refraction, or diffraction. She lives in glitters, shimmers, metallics, and gloss. She is absolutely that girl. The one who uses the Fenty body lava, the shiniest eyeshadows, and has the glossiest lip gloss. I drew her with super long, sleek, straight, platinum blonde hair, tan skin, and that early 2000s it girl energy. Think Cameron Diaz in her prime, who's actually the celeb her original design was based on, and I leaned into that fully. She's a fashionista, a model, a designer. She knows it. Her whole vibe is walking into a room and making the lights work even harder, and I think it would be interesting to watch her light literally dim when her mother's around. Flora is the soft girl of the group, and honestly one of my favorites to redesign. We didn't get Flora until season 2, because before Fate had a Flora, there was Terra. And there were several controversies around this character. It's clear that Terra was originally supposed to be Flora, a character that was Latina coded and based on Jennifer Lopez. Allegedly, this casting decision was made because he wanted more body diversity, which, while important, is very silly in my opinion. I promise you we have body diversity across all peoples, not just white actors. Which also doesn't make any sense to me because Terra felt horribly underdeveloped visually. That's also a shame because this actress could have looked so cute. The original Flora has this lush, romantic fairy tale quality that just didn't make it to the screen whatsoever. I love her original design, so for mine, I really wanted to pull from her different depictions and combine all of the best parts. I also thought about what trends were popular during the filming of Fate, and I landed on 2 that I think would have worked perfectly, and honestly would probably still hold up. E-girl hair and cottagecore. Both were at their absolute height of popularity. That dark, two-toned hair with a soft floral fantasy dress is exactly the kind of thing Fate should have been doing across the board. I demand we bring back the whimsy. In my mind, she always smells like something sweet. Butterflies follow her around, and she's soft-spoken but confident in who she is. This version pulls together the best parts of Terra and Flora. And very importantly to me, Latina representation. I based her look on my cousin, and I really wanted to give her a nose ring, but I couldn't quite make it work in the final design. Just know that in my heart, Flora is a nose ring girly. Musa is the tomboy with a tragic past. I went in a completely unexpected direction with her, but I have zero regrets. Fate's Musa was another controversial change. They shifted her powers and her whole aesthetic, and the fandom was not happy. Looking at the original, you can see why. She's got this bold, dynamic energy that just didn't translate. She was originally based on Lucy Liu, and her home planet clearly takes inspiration from Chinese architecture. This part of her identity appears to have been completely erased in Fate, through yet another controversial casting decision. Again, no hate on the actress herself, I actually really liked her performance, but this was clearly not Musa at this point, and they didn't even bother to change her name like they did with Terra. Anyway, I started sketching something closer to her original look, and then I started thinking about her powers. Music, sound, and naturally that led me to dance. And then it hit me. I remembered that outfit. That Tim outfit from the Advice music video. And that was that. I was done. There was no going back. You don't understand. I have wanted that outfit for myself since the moment I saw it. But with her blue hair, it's perfect for her. Speaking of hair, I kept going back and forth between her signature small messy buns and longer braids. I landed on the braids as I think that the longer hair has more styling options, but I'm genuinely curious what you think. Let me know in the comments. In combat, I picture Musa as the most agile of the group. Light on her feet, literally dancing around her enemies, drawing them in with her movements before they even realize what's happening. She's playful, magnetic, and energizing, turning every fight scene into a music video. Aisha, also known as Layla, is a confident, athletic one. She's also the hardest pose for me to nail. I kept sketching her and nothing was capturing the energy that I wanted. She was based on Beyonce and she exudes this effortless confidence in the original cartoon. Like she's always the most capable person in the room and she knows it, but she's not obnoxious about it either. It took me a while to find it, but I'm happy with where I landed. And I'm really happy with her hair. I also really like the casting of Precious in this role, but I was truly at a loss for words for the outfits that they gave her. Again, they did my girl so dirty. I know that the outfit is almost a carbon copy of her original, but when I found that skirt shorts inspo, I just knew it was right for her. Tell me it's not perfect, go on. I'll wait. I also added combat boots, it just felt right. Outdoorsy, physical, practical, ready to move at any moment. And here's a maybe controversial take. I actually don't mind that Fate made her a water fairy instead of a Morphix fairy. Hear me out. Morphix is made of water molecules, so starting her as a water fairy feels like a natural origin point. And knowing Aisha's studious, methodical personality in Fate, it actually makes a lot of sense that she'd eventually discover Morphix herself, probably through research and experimentation. She already had some of the strongest control over her powers, so discovering Morphix would be the next logical evolution. I think that storyline could have been really compelling if they leaned into it. Tecna is the smart, tactical one of the group. She's also the most fun to reimagine. Fate didn't even include Tecna, which is honestly baffling given how distinctive she is. Her whole thing is technology and logic in a world of magic. She's fascinating, but they just left her out. And even if they didn't want to deal with tech specifically, it baffles me that they willingly changed out 2 characters and didn't even include her. She's based on pink, so for my design, I knew I wanted to lean into alternative fashion. I went back and forth between steampunk, cyberpunk, gothic, and grunge, and honestly, I kinda just stopped choosing and let it all coexist. I mixed and matched until it just felt right to me. I did end up pulling away from her original softer color palette, and I ended up going darker. One thing that I noticed while working on all 6 of these is that in the original, a few of the girls' outfits could be swapped around without anyone noticing. But for mine, I really wanted every single one to be immediately, unmistakably hers. Tecna's dark palette does that, so I think it was the right call. You'd never mix her up with the others. She's sharp, she's precise, and she looks like she's already 3 steps ahead of everyone in the room, always scanning their surroundings and preparing to take action. I think they could have cast someone else as Musa, and taking Musa's actress and personality, given it to Tecna, and then allowed both characters to exist, thereby solving the controversial casting decision, and not having to remove Tecna from this version of Winx. Okay, what do you think? Bloom, Stella, Flora, Musa, Aisha, and Tecna redesigned. Seeing them all now, I do wish a little bit that I had pushed it just a little further. All things considered, I think I played it fairly safe, though that was somewhat intentional as the ideas that I had for their fairy forms were way more magical. And I had a ton of ideas for their fairy forms, so if you're interested in that, let me know. This project genuinely made me fall a little bit in love with the Winx Club, even though I came into it so late. There's so much richness in the source material, so much personality, color, fashion, and fun. I really wish that the live action had trusted that more. Maybe one day we'll get another shot at it, and if whoever makes it is watching this, please look at the cartoon. It's a treasure trove of inspiration. Or at least check out what other, far more educated people than me have to say on the topic. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!